Welcome back to Light Talk, where the paranormal and the supernatural is a part of our everyday lives. Today, I'm so excited about this guest. Again, we're just going to jump right in. So, welcome and go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm happy to be here with you, Dana, on your show. Thank you for inviting me. And my name is Laura Ferguson, and that's my author name for my books, Conscious Kid books, and a recent novelette of science fiction. I call it science nonfiction of parallel lives about Atlantis and Mars. How I'm also a musician, singer, songwriter, and I go by Starseed Lø Lø. So that's what you see, the two names down there.
Yep. Yep. Awesome. That's great. And I have a third name. Do you go by Laura Leon?
Oh no, that's my old name before I got married. But yeah, Leonie was the former
Okay,
name.
good. Okay, go ahead.
So what they've kind of been buzzing in my ears, because we're going to do a channeling, is that and I'll get into that mode in a few minutes. They want to talk about manifesting, not only because of the new year, but it's kind of a surprise to me on who's going to come through. So we'll see when I'm in that state. It's almost like I'm, kind of far away on the other side of the room, and I'm hearing them almost as an echo. And it's really coming from my higher self, or even your higher self, if you're listening and you're meant to hear the broadcast. So it can be seen that way as well. And yeah, let's see what they have to say. I know they want to talk about how we can manifest. And one of the biggest things, biggest ways of doing that is by being non-judgmental and having that unconditional love that, a lot of spiritual people and New Agers talk about love and light. However, maybe it's not specifically happening that way. So I'm ready, unless you have a few questions for me to get into that as a channeled state whenever you're ready.
Oh, I think we're ready. We'll go ahead and get you going since you're moving towards that direction. So, and I'll try to keep my eye on the time for the half hour. So,
Okay, great. So I'm going to close my eyes and get into meditation mode with a couple little dings of the tuning fork here, and that just kind of cues me to go in. Fifth dimensional Pleiadeans are in our space.
welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, do you have anything to say for our listeners today?
We always have something to say for the listeners or anyone who tunes in this present moment or in the recording.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start asking my questions then. So, my first question is the energy getting higher on Earth?
Yes, and more specifically, the frequencies are raising in infinite realities of realities, not just this version of Gaia. This includes all parallel realities of Gaia as well.
And do we have a percentage of that has awakened, or those that have awakened?
Based on our reflections and technologies, we get 20%.
All right. With that, is there a certain percentage in order to completely raise Earth's energy? And what is that percentage?
Generally for this version would be about 25% to 30%, which we calculate on the current present moment, which is all we can do, and this might change, will lead into the 2030s decade.
Okay. Will there be a second Earth? Do we feel a second Earth coming on in 2030?
Yes, for those whom select the higher vibration of wanting to have these experiences, such as physical contact with our hybrid selves, our current Pleiadian, full Pleiadian selves, and so on, many more hybrids, not just the Pleiadian gray hybrids or the Pleiadian human or the gray Pleiadian. There's many versions of all of us as the reflections. This version of Gaia already exists, and what is seen as the old ways, quote unquote, are melting away, because depending on what soul path each soul selects, they will experience based on their frequency.
Is this something that will be on a completely different Earth, or is all of this going to be happening on the same Earth as we currently know right now?
We are all shifting billions of times per second in seemingly time and space. Therefore, it is never the same.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell me who my star seeds are?
Your starseed origins for yourself?
Correct.
On the surface, we get at least 4 or 5. However, on sublevels, there's too many to count. Pleiadian, Sirian, Lyrian, Greys, some others from Orion.
Okay. Where have I been the most?
Greys.
Please.
And these are soul agreements and soul contracts. Nobody is taken against their will or quote unquote abducted. They have a soul agreement to be part of the hybrids with the Greys, making hybrids, mixing DNAs.
Have I been abducted, and how many times, if you can tell me that?
It's not abducted. You have a soul contract agreement with your higher self, and they are a reflection of you. You are a reflection of them. Therefore, you are them and they are you.
Okay.
And in recent years, 2 or 3 times. However, this is something that is lifelong in your consciousness body.
Would you say that in February, that was one of my experiences
Sure it is.
of this
And
year?
you know this? Yes.
Okay. And with the Grays?
Yes. Sometimes you'll just lose track of time or seemingly get somewhere a lot quicker or a lot slower when you're driving or something to that effect. Other times it'll be when you're asleep, and the agreement is that there's not a lot of remembrance when you come back, because the human's vibration is so much indifference from the Greys, and a lot of times the humans get in shock, even if it's their own Grey self as themselves. Does this make sense?
Yes. Yes. So the Grays that had visited me when I was younger, were they like my family and here to protect me?
Yes, we see at least 2 specific ones that did frequent visits.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Um, is there such a thing as starseeds if we are all one?
It is like a giant video game. The star seeds are the non-NPC souls. The rest is just more matrix for an experience that the star seeds project.
Interesting. Okay. What is the most common language throughout the cosmos?
Telepathy. Some
How,
beings don't have voice boxes, such as the Greys.
so the Greys can talk then
Not
without.
physically, no.
Okay. Um, okay. Is there a way I can communicate with the Greys as in more physically and with a memory?
They're hearing you right now. They're in
Okay.
the background listening, and there's a few ways. If your soul contract or agreement allows this, only you and them will know this between you. What Laura has started doing, because she's part of the same thing, she was listening to Daryl Anka channel Bashar, and he suggested to build a relationship with the Greys, and he said the easiest way to start doing that is right before you fall asleep, before the bewitching hours, so to speak. Talk to them. You can speak out loud or telepathically and let them know that you're not afraid, you're aware of all the agreements, and you're excited to, work with them, and you'd like to get them to know them more. You're more open, even if it's in small increments. And as your frequency raises, you might start having remembrances of dreams, which actually happened. It's not even a dream or a lucid dream. It's something that actually happened. You might actually see shadows of Greys while you're falling asleep or waking up, because for them, the reality is just a matter of a very quick, instantaneous switch, like walking in another room. So you can start that way and speak to them telepathically, and especially before you go to sleep, because that is their prime time.
And is that any specific time or just my time of going to sleep?
Just in your time right before you go to sleep,
Okay.
whenever
Okay.
that is.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I thought I had more questions and all for you, but I think this is going to be my last question at this moment. So thank you again for being with us, and I appreciate your time of joining us. So my last question is going to be, why doesn't our moon rotate? What causes it not to rotate?
The moon is a very complicated answer, and this might even be its own show. The moon is placed there after the Tiamat destruction, which Laura speaks of in her book. Tiamat was a water planet nearby before the Earth moon, and exploded due to space wars with reptilians. Hit Mars, chunks of it, they say, planetary object. Also hit Earth Gaia, which is a Tiamat Atlantean destruction, and is the reason why scientists have found that on Earth the water rose over 100 feet, which is unheard of for great flood, and even biblical scriptures speak of these great deluge. Therefore, the moon was placed there by all types of ET races working together. And as we all know, the moon stabilizes the planet's water with the tides going in and out. The moon is connected to the emotional body. The moon is connected to the 28-day cycle of the feminine energy. And the moon is very special. There are SSP bases on the moon and Mars, and this is a whole subject on its own. Jumper room portals have been used for secret Space Force to basically get to these places, because they did not, nor did they not have the best technology to get there just with rocket fuel. The moon is 238,000 miles from Earth. Think about it, late 60s, the type of rocket has less energy than your cell phone right now, and less computer capacity. It was accessed, however, by a portal. And there are multiple alien races on quote unquote the dark side of the moon. It is locked on the dark side of the moon. That's why they were built on that side, because of the awareness of the beings on Earth.
Wow. That is really interesting. Now I will definitely have to talk to her about that. All right. Thank you
Yes.
for that answer. That's very interesting. I did not know that some of that information. So that's beautiful. I think that'll be it for right now. So Laura, you can come back.
Okay. We love you very much,
We
and
love
we
you
hope to
too.
speak again.
Absolutely. I would love that. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. They love to talk about the moon. I'm back.
That was really cool because I didn't know a lot of that. And yeah, I mean, I can imagine, I can believe that. Um, but yeah, I didn't realize some of it. Yeah. Awesome, awesome. That's great. That was
It is.
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
yeah, so we can kind of go with some of the stuff with you. How did you get into this connection with them, and how did this all start with you?
So I got really interested in finding, parallel lives, which a lot of people call past lives and or future selves. And it's, it's really everything is happening here and now, although in our time and space frame, you know, billions of time per second, when we create motion, we are actually creating a matrix like experience with our motion. So we're actually seeing ourselves create it. We're just not aware of that, whether you want to call it the quantum field, the ether. And so I got interested in that in early 2021. I started seeing crows follow me everywhere. And at this time, I was still in Northern California instead of Northern Florida. And, the crows were always there. And, I was downtown in the city. I would drive home. There would be crows. I would go to lunch. There would be crows. I'd walk down the block. There would be crows. And I just didn't notice them. And then one day I felt, I guess, telepathically or energetically, they told me, you're having a spiritual awakening. And then I realized we're all having a spiritual awakening, and that we choose how thin the veil is, so to speak, in our life, in this body, in this time, in this moment, in this perspective, in the matrix. And that our experiences are real, our feelings are real, our relationships are real, but the solid matter and people and other people are really not. But we're all connected, which means we can tap in. And so I actually started going on Facebook groups. This is like 4 or 5 years ago, giving free readings, just like pull one card. And, a lot of these are faceless profiles, where they have like a cat or a dog or,
Right.
a tree or who knows if they're catfishing and it's even them on the picture. And so, or they'll have their kid on the picture or something. And so, and I was just pulling cards, and like over 90% of the time I'm accurate. I'm like, something, and I would be very specific, like, you're an artist and you need to do more artwork. And they're like, yes, I am an artist. And not like something that your life has inner turmoil and, like a psychic thing where anybody can, have that apply to them. And so I was like, there's gotta be something to this. And so I started going deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole. Before you know it, I'm binge watching hundreds of hours of all the Ancient Alien series. And then I go to Gaia TV, and then I'm like, you know what? My favorite show on Gaia TV, I think it was a show like Conversations with Extra Dimensionals with Robert Langdon. And all he did was have channelers on the show, and the channelers would have a channeling session. Like, he would just introduce them for like 5 minutes, and then for like a whole almost hour, you'd get the really cool channelings. And Daryl Anka, who's my favorite, was on there with channeling Bashar. He's been doing that since the 70s. And He's probably one of the oldest ones still doing that. And then, so anyways, fast forward to early 2024, I had written Conscious Kids Adventures with Zane book series. It's on Amazon, and actually won a book award for each of those. I was kind of surprised. One of them is a meditation book, teaching your kid how to meditate, and a cute little adventure story. Like, Zane goes to school. It's that's featuring my 7-year-old, now almost 8-year-old. Back then he was like 5. And, Zane scores 100% on his test because he sits at his desk and he meditates for like 60 seconds. And then when he didn't meditate, he like missed like 5 things on the math test, just like little scenarios. So the kid would be interested, or kids. And, now he's told me, oh, mommy, I meditated for 60 seconds. So, like, I thought that was cute. And the second book is about sacred geometry. I couldn't find any spiritual or, book, even new age type book that was for kids about sacred geometry. I'm a math major, so I really love the sacred geometry. And, made another adventure book, Conscious Kid Adventures with Zane. A second one, actually I did one in Spanish too. My dad's from Mexico, so I did the meditation book in Spanish as well. And then I told myself, you need to write a novel. And this is all like coming from my higher self, which is also me, but you know what I mean, my intuition. And I'm like, well, what am I going to write about? And I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and write about my boring life, which to me is pretty regular, like from California, one parent from Mexico, one parent from Oregon, went to the Air Force, did a bunch of college, got out, worked at Department of Justice. I was an investigator, did tax audits, all kind of things. And, just kind of not plain Jane, but it's definitely was a government work for over 20 years. And so I'm like, not for nothing, nobody wants to hear about that. So I started doing really, yeah. I'm like, I don't even want to hear about it. And so I started doing QHHT hypnosis sessions. The first one I did is with Alba Weinman. It's actually on YouTube. And I can send you the link later, but it's like a 1.5 hour hypnosis that Alba Weinman, she's one of the big QHHT and hypnosis ladies. She's out of Florida, but then I was in California. So we posted it on YouTube, and it's there. And, all these lives, I didn't think that these lives would come out like, I was under hypnosis, like how I do here with channeling. And they just came out. Like I was a sea captain. I was a fortune teller. I was a queen in Scotland. Like it was crazy. A couple lives as, a man. I fought Napoleon in the late 1800s as a sea captain who was British, and he hated the French because, they were fighting a lot back then. And so anyways, it was amazing. That was the first one I did. I believe that was 2023. And then I did, because, prior to that, I was just, meditating by myself. And yeah, I would clairvoyantly get like a life here and there, but it wasn't as strong as it is when I had someone like leading me, because, there's a strength in numbers because we're all entangled. And so when I have someone, such as yourself bouncing it off, it works a lot stronger and better. I did another KHHT session end of 2024, but in person in Panama City Beach, about an hour away. And in that one, I posted a blip of it because Julius Caesar came out. I don't know if he jumped me temporarily. I'm not saying I'm him per se, but it's very interesting because, suddenly I'm over here saying under deep hypnosis, I am Julius Caesar. And it was just really funny because, he was, big-headed narcissistic type of guy. And that's how he came about. And so I cut that little piece in a YouTube video too. So for me, it just rolled into the love of channeling. And, I do music as well. But the channeling is Bashar says to follow your highest passion. And as long as you follow your highest passion in every moment, big or small, it could be something very small, like let me go sit down, or let me stand up, or let me eat a salad, or let me eat this, like it doesn't matter how big or small. As long as you follow your passion in your highest moment, you will manifest and keep your frequency very high, because those realities already exist. If you have your frequency up here, you're going to have the reality that it's up here, right? If you have a frequency here, you're going to have because you can only experience the frequency you're at. And so if you're not staying as positive or as neutral as you can, you're not going to be up here. You're going to be right here. And then you're going to wonder, why did I have a bad day or a bad week or get in a fight with someone or whatever? But if you keep the frequency here, that reality is already there for you to grab. And so as long as you're not insistent on it, like I have to have 500,000 listens on this song on my music page, or I have to have this many followers. And, for me, that's a tough one. So anyways, I just kind of went off on a tangent, but it's kind of where I'm at now. And, I really, really love the channeling too.
Yeah, because that's where I want to head, is into channeling and mediumship. So yeah, that's where I would like to be.
Yeah, you can do it. Anybody can do it. This is not anything that's special. For me, it was easier to start with being hypnotized by somebody else. It doesn't have to be a QHHT session. It can be a past life regression. I've also done that before. As long as you have somebody who's preferably trained in hypnosis, who can, get you under really nice and deep and, count you out and all that and lead you. And the good thing about the QHHT sessions is that they let you ask questions to your higher self. And so like at the end, like the last 15 minutes of it, they can go for sometimes 3 hours. I mean, it just depends on the person and how deep you want to go. Some of them go an hour and a half, some up to 3. You can actually ask your higher self these questions. Like I asked my higher self one question: is Laura going to invent a free energy device? Because I'm like, that's just out of control. Like, is that even possible? And my higher self said something like, in the year 2035, they're going to have a prototype. And I was like, okay, we'll see, like, who knows, like, until that time comes, like, is that true or not? And so I just threw some wild stuff in there, but that's why I really like the QHHT. And you can even look on the web, on the internet, like QHHT practitioner near me, and they'll come up on Google with reviews and everything. And, if they can't see you in person, or you're in a remote area like me, you can normally, do one on Zoom like this, privately with them. And I just love hypnosis, and it's a good place to start, because when we're channeling and when we're meditating, we're hypnotized when we're doing it alone. So this just is just a little bit stronger because you have someone leading the way, you know what I mean? So
Right. Yeah, it's easier for me having somebody else, because I start getting monkey mind and I get off the path, and then it's like, okay, I'm back, and nope, I'm back out. It's like, no.
yeah, when you're by yourself, your mind wanders a little bit, or you're like, oh, my arm is itching, and then you're like, dang it, I'm not focusing, like, or I got to go throw the clothes in the wash or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you have someone there who's with the voice and keeping you going and keeping the rhythm going, and asking the questions and all that good stuff, then it just keeps you on track. And I've like I do some of my sound healing videos, and then I go into channeling by myself, but it's just not as effective or strong as if I have someone else leading the way here. It just isn't. And maybe it's different for other people. That's how it is for me. As long as you're in a very quiet area, very calm area, and preferably, you went to the bathroom, you ate, so you're not thinking about food or any of those human needs. And then for me, actually lying in bed, I had to start out with lying down and then train myself to sitting up like this, because I had a thing where I couldn't really get that deep in the zone unless I was lying down. And so I also suggest to other people, other than being hypnotized by someone else, even a friend or something, a family member or partner, and it can be a short one just to see what happens. You can just go in for like 15, 20 minutes. Doesn't have to be a 3-hour one to start with, just to see if what's going to come out. Because when you're in that neutral state of clearing your mind and probably lying down, if you're new at it, then a lot of stuff comes out and you'll just be shocked. Just have your camera going, or one of your devices, recording ready to go, even if it's just audio and not video, because when you're in that deep of a state, you're not going to remember all the details, and you're going to want to listen to it later, be like, what was I talking about? And I said something about this life, and like, you might remember a little piece of it, but I love doing that because I'm a retired investigator. So I just love all you can't overload me with information. You really can't. So
Yeah, I've been wanting to get that done too, because I have some meditations I want to do, and I've been trying to figure out how to record it and use my phone at the same time. But I just thought of it. I have my Zoom on my laptop here, and so yeah. So now
there you go.
I feel better about doing that now. Awesome. Thank you for that little knowledge there.
You're welcome. And I I hope you discover some really cool, lives or events that are happening in the here and now for you in those sessions, because sometimes it's shocking. Sometimes you're like, what? I was in World War II and in downtown London when they got bombed. Like I was, yeah. And I was on Mars also when it got bombed. And so there was like a parallel of like bombing lives, there. And I don't know why, but I guess my soul wanted to experience that. So, so it's just crazy. Like it's stranger than fiction, right? Like you can't make that up. You really can't. And it's coming from you. It's not like you're going to another reader, although I still go to another reader in Pensacola, a couple hours away. She's actually a Romanian gypsy lady, very sweet lady. And she only does readings in person because she's old school. She's an older lady, and I don't even think she knows how to text on the phone. So, because we can't be objective with ourselves. And so, I have a couple psychic friends and I'll ask them some questions, but it's hard to really, you just can't be objective. And so every once in a while I'll go to her about every 6 months. And, but when you're in hypnosis, it's coming from you. It's coming from your higher self. It's not necessarily someone else. It's like, you are a Pleiadian, you are a Syrian, and your name was this, and you have blue skin and you look like that. No, it's from you, So, and there's nothing wrong with, like I said, I do sessions with other people too, and Akashic records, but there's something pure about your higher self saying these things out loud. You know what I mean? There's something special about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, awesome. Yeah, definitely. I'm on it. I'm on it now.
Yeah, get it scheduled. 2026 resolution. Get you a hypnosis session and dig in there and see what comes out, because it's like a Pandora's box, but like, fun and amazing, and like you really don't know. And then when you're talking about this life or whatever it comes out, you actually feel like it's real, like you're there again. Like it's almost like your consciousness can just, remember all of a sudden. And it's crazy. It really is. It's a crazy feeling, because for me, it felt very real if I was getting killed in one of those lives, or if I was in a war, something like that. Like I could literally feel the sand on my feet. And it makes sense, because us as consciousness, we're creating this reality. So how come we can't tap into, the ether of everything, which is really the Akashic records, or even more than that? How come we can't? We can, and anybody can do it. And anybody who says you can't do it, it just has a guru complex or something, not right with them. But anybody can do it. They really can. And that's, if you want to know more about yourself, that's a good way to do it, or at least a good way to start. So
Right. Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So you got into all of this and you got moving, and then do you recall who you channeled first, or did it just happen like you are now, that anybody started showing up? Or
the first one who started, of course, it's like 2 a.m, during the bewitching hour, when I'm like, oh, get up, go to the bathroom or whatever. Archangel Sandalphon started coming through a few years ago. And, I'm not religious. I was loosely brought up Catholic. I have no religion other than Source now. But Archangel Sandalphon, I'm like, who the heck is Archangel Sandalphon? I didn't know who he was. Like, I might have heard the name like one time my whole life. And then I just like, it's like 2 a.m. And so like when you're in that theta brainwave state, where you're almost asleep or you just woke up, and you can still hear or see things, and you think it's a dream. Sometimes it's a real reality that you're actually experiencing. And it was almost like it was in my head, but not really. Like it felt like a distant voice. And it's like, oh, hi, I'm Sandalphon. I'm like, Sandalphon, who's that? And he said Archangel. And then that's how he like introduced himself. And then I Googled him and find out he's the Archangel of music and helps with prayers and messages. And I guess being the Archangel of music, he got me off my butt to like start songwriting and singing because I don't know why else he would specifically come around. So he was the first one, and I thought I was losing my mind. And anyways, I did channel him recently on one of these channeling, podcasts. I don't even remember which one. Sometime in the last couple of weeks, he came through. Archangels are just entities or souls who were never human or didn't have a human experience. who are a fractal of sorts that just didn't have the human experience. It didn't mean they didn't have other experiences, but they just didn't have the human one. And so he was the first one. But yeah, more recently, the extraterrestrials have been coming out, and then I think on the third or fourth or fifth one, Sandalphon, of course, had to come out.
Just giving a little music into your shows.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. And have you worked with him on writing a song? Has that happened? Working together with him?
Not directly to my knowledge, but when I was writing my book, The Entanglement, my higher self told me to write specific words on the page. Like it'd be like, this character is going to get killed now by this. And I'm like, no, I don't want them to. And then the higher self was like, yes, that's how it happened. I'm like, okay, fine. And so I believe that I know he's one of my guides. And so I think he had a hand in some of that, because that was very strong. And right now I'm screenwriting my book so it can be adapted to a movie. And then the second book will be about the Orion Wars, because a lot of us are souls, if you want to call it reincarnated. It's really everything's happening at once. But let's say reincarnated from the Orion Wars, and we were on planet Maldek and planet Mars. Those planets got destroyed. And then we were in Atlantis, and, that got destroyed. And the Orion Wars was kind of a play on Star Wars, but more deeper about the typical, aliens that the New Agers kind of follow, because Star Wars to me doesn't really show, portray like a reptilian and a gray, and, they have other ETs, but not really like the I guess you want to say the pop culture ones. And so, but my priority is really get the screenwriting done. So it's about halfway done, and I'm working with a screenwriter who's done it professionally. So that's really my next big thing. And I know the guides and the higher selves, my higher self rather, has a big hand in that. And following your intuition is also following your passion. If something feels good to you in the moment, then that's what you're supposed to do. And so, because a lot of people are like, what are my purpose in life? One of my recent challenges spoke about that. Your purpose is to be you. That's it. And it might seem simple, but do what you love and be you. That's it. And a lot of people, I think, struggle with that. And they're like, what am I supposed to do? Well, you have a compass. Your internal compass are your emotions, your feelings, all your senses. If you feel happy when you're singing, you're supposed to sing. If you feel happy when you're writing, you're supposed to write. If you feel happy when you're working this office job or whatever you like to do, that's what you're supposed to do. And so that is a clue to your, from your internal compass of what your purpose is, other than just being you, of course, and what your passion is in the moment of passion, whatever moment that is, doesn't matter. So yeah, it's really like a conundrum and a riddle, but yet it's really not. It's more of like a feedback loop of energy, because all we find is more of ourselves as we go deeper and deeper. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And would that be something similar to like a shadow work and all? Because you're digging deeper and deeper into who you are and what you want to do and all that fun stuff.
Absolutely. I have a song called Dark Night of the Soul because it refers to Dr. Carl Jung's Negretto depression stage, which is trauma and depression, the likes of all that kind of thing, or even just doing shadow work because we open it up and we're dealing with it, processing it, which we should. Holding everything in is, the most unhealthy thing for you. It's absolutely important to do the shadow work and to do the inner healing and to work within, because what seemingly is the outside world, which there is no outside world, but what seemingly is in our creation of it, which is your perspective or my perspective. Yes, they are different worlds because it's by each of our perspectives. It's a different version of Earth or Gaia. It really is. I asked myself, if somebody was angry or if something happened or I saw an accident or something that might be seen as negative, even though the universe is neutral to neutral, positive, what reflection am I showing myself? What do I need to work on? And 9 times out of 10, it's an analogy for something in my life that is happening. That's something that I should look at from within. And because it shows on the outside reflection, and it's really almost always, if not always, something that we should work on. And Greg Braden talks about the mirrors, and that the mirrors show us what we should work on. It might even be your dog is sick or your cat is sick. And Greg Braden, he's a geologist, for those who don't know, and he's very brilliant. He does archaeology as well. And he speaks about his mom had a dog who got lung cancer. And then Greg asked his mom, "Oh, didn't you have a spot in your lung? Did you ever get that scan?" And his mom was like, "No, I didn't." And then she found out she had like stage 1 lung cancer or something like that, that it was caught much earlier because the dog reflected it and showed that to her in that mirror. And so sometimes it is quite literal with our pets even,
Yeah. Yeah. That's a whole nother show in itself right there too, is, pets and how awesome. I'm starting to really learn a lot about the pets and how they are very helpful. And I'm now seeing a lot of things in my dog that she's trying to tell me about. So I'm trying to learn some things that she's trying to tell me. So that's awesome.
It is awesome. And they are absolutely telepathic, except for, from what I hear, they don't think in words, but they do think of images and feelings. And so if you want to send them a thought, like it's time to go potty outside, you can send them those, mental images of them going outside nicely, of course, and, something to that effect. And sometimes you look in their eyes and you're like, do they understand what I'm saying or thinking? And yeah, sometimes they do, because they're on the frequency, they match the frequency of their owner, that they want to, if you want to call us that, their owner or their companion. And so sometimes they do, and that's how, yes, they have the animal instincts and they can pick up on a lot, and they have really good hearing that we don't have, and really good eyesight. However, they also have the telepathy, and they really rely on the feelings and the telepathy because they don't have the human words. And a lot of that is just images, and feeling. So that's one way you can kind of, send them messages, and see if it kind of works. Like, here's a message in a bottle. I want the dog to sit and sit and sit, but not verbally say it, because it's not so much a word, it's, the frequency of how I say it. Or, if I bring a treat out, he's going to know, but let's see if I can do it without that, and I don't know, it might or might not work. So we have a stray cat we feed right now, so we'll see.
Yeah. Check her out. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. Um, so you have been working with the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, Archangel, and do you know how many different beings you have connected with? Because
Like
I'm thinking,
they're more like I don't know, 10, I don't know. It's
okay,
like they're more like collectives. Like a lot of them don't even have names because they don't really go by names, but I would say at least 10. I mean, I don't know. I have a Mayan collective called Baktun. I'm only 5% Mayan, but I'm a third Mesoamerican. And they are like Archangel Sandalphon. They just came in one day, and I can't call them at will. Whoever wants to show up is going to show up. I've had Baktun, which are the Mayan collective. I've had the Pleiadians. I've had some of these are more recent. Baktun is a little bit older one. And Mayan, Baktun, what did I say? Archangel Sandalphon. The Arcturians came in with Michael Kopp's podcast. We had the Pleiadians, Fifth Dimensional, which are the ones that just came in right now on his as well. We had one that I had only heard by name like once or twice, Ashtar Command. That one came through on a different one. And they even said, through me, like, Laura doesn't know what we are. She's like, she's only heard the word Ashtar Command. She doesn't know. And they explain how they're a collective of multiple races, like almost like a galactic federation, but they don't call themselves that. And so that one was interesting because I was shocked. I'm like, what is this Ashtar Command? I'm Googling it after the show, and it's just an energy. It's a frequency of a collective of, multiple race ET selves. And from what they tell me, anything or anybody or any ET race or whatever we connect to is a fractal of our soul. That's how we're able to tap into it. So that means that the Pleiadians spoke to you today. So you have a fractal self as a Pleiadian right now, or you wouldn't have access to hear that and, be a part of that. Whether they're speaking to you in your dreams, in your awake time, if you are meditating through someone else, as your higher self, just sending really cool messages on, what maybe you should do as your next step, so it's kind of amazing. When you start listening more to your higher self, the higher your frequency gets, the more access. It's almost like a reward, system, and it's not even so much higher. You just get more open. It's like frequencies when you change a radio station dial, right? So instead of having only 5 channels like we did in the 1950s, now you have like 20 channels that you have access to. And then you can just keep going because there are infinite realities and infinite beings that people here on Earth haven't even heard about. And various types of, like, there's even an inside out universe where light is dark and dark is light. And the beings are all shadow people looking. Maybe that's what shadow people are. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out the shadow people conundrum, but
yeah.
But and I can't say I'm the biggest fan of the shadow people, but I don't allow them in my house because that as well as the dead who have crossed over to the other side, because unfortunately when you leave the house open in order to contact you or move items or whatever they want to do, because sometimes they'll like teleport items, like you put your keys down here, you put them down there, they end up somewhere else 5 hours later, like the trickster energy. Some of that is not the funnest to be around, and they do suck your energy so they can communicate with you. So I don't let them in the house. And actually here in this office where I'm speaking right now, there was one that kept making noises. And at nighttime, I'd hear something crash, and then I would walk over here and I'd like see nothing. And I'm like,
right.
And so I just asked them to kindly leave and go to the light. I'm like, I send you with love, the universe loves you. However, you're in a space that is not where you're supposed to be. Please go to source and go to the light. And I haven't really heard them since, but I just had the feeling that maybe it was a native burial ground. There's a lot of cemeteries. This is North Florida. The Seminole Wars were all throughout here. So I had the feeling it was a Seminole who was just, didn't want to cross over to the other side. And I haven't really heard too many sounds yet, but I'll ask him to kindly leave again if I have to, because I don't want him being here with the family, and sucking our energy and all that. But that's kind of how I just feel about the dead. I'm not, unless I'm trying to talk to like a family member or something, I kind of try to keep my space from them. Same thing with the shadow people. We see shadow people, or I have it in this house and other houses I've been in, and I just sent them kindly to the light and let them know that, they need to go where they're supposed to go with source. And most of the time they'll kindly just move on. But that's really my experience with them anyways.
I recently had an experience with losing a couple of my stones. And I was like, where did they go? I'm like looking all over. And at work, I sit outside in the grass sometimes and just kind of ground myself and just be part of nature and all. So I looked over there. It was nowhere. I couldn't find them. And then like a day later, I'm sitting there getting ready, folding clothes or something like that. But I turn over and there it is sitting on my bed.
Yeah.
And the other one was right
intentionally,
there. So
intentionally placed.
yeah. Yeah. And it was like, okay, I know somebody's messing with me here. Somebody took them. So I'm like, thanks for bringing them back, but yeah. It's like,
Yep.
I
You
looked
got a
there.
little
There's
trickster
nobody.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We had the same thing happen to us a couple times. This with my husband alone. He was in the backyard of someone's house because he does construction, like building a deck, and there was nothing on the deck. And then he went to the front, threw something away in the dumpster, and then he went to the back and intentionally placed right on top of the deck. There was a almost brand new shiny quarter. you know, a squirrel didn't do that. Oh, my phone
Right.
fell. But yeah, so he had a quarter that was shiny, and he asked me, did I put the quarter there? I'm like, no, I didn't. I was gone at the time that happened. You know, I went to McDonald's down the street or something because I was with them, and he's like, this quarter came out of nowhere, and I'm like, well, I don't think a squirrel put it there because it would be on the ground, you know, like on the grass, thrown haphazardly, and like we couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, oh, you're not drunk or anything. Like, what the hell's going on? And then there was another time where we were looking for Arby's sauce inside of the fridge. And, you know, it's a big old red and white bottle of Arby's. And I'm like tearing up the fridge, and the fridge is 90% empty because it's time to go grocery shopping. I'm like, where's the Arby's sauce? Do you see it? And I'm moving the mayonnaise and ketchup. And I'm like, and it's a pretty small fridge. And I said, how much you want to bet 3 hours later it's going to show up in the fridge again? Like this little trickster or whatever just temporarily cloaked it or teleported it or whatever the heck they do. That's exactly what happened. About 3 hours later, I look and the Arby's sauce is right there, like right in front of my face. I'm like, no, I have a witness on that one. There were two of us who didn't see it, and now we see it. And I'm like running out in the garage. Here's Arby's sauce. What did I tell you?
Yeah, that's what the stones. My husband witnessed this one too. I was like, there wasn't the stone there. You know, I had a night in the bed, and if that was in the bed, it would have been knocked off, and I would have heard it. And I was like, there's no.
What did your husband have to say to that? To the stone just being intentionally placed right there after the.
He's pretty skeptical still, even though he's had some experiences. He's still very skeptical. He's like, yeah, that was kind of weird, but no, it just happened.
Yeah, no explanation for how it happened. So that's funny.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. It's kind of funny, but he has witnessed a few things and like a fairy talking to us and everything. So that was pretty cool. So
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes these, you know, fourth or fifth dimensional beings, we're able to see them or experience them, even if it's just audio wise, because our frequency is high enough to. They're always there. It's just a matter of being that frequency level to, you know, access them.
yeah, yeah. And that was really cool, you know, with him being this skeptic and everything, that he heard that the fairy and it was like
It's probably like, what the hell just happened?
it was pretty funny how his face was very shocked, but yeah, he was like completely confused. And but yeah, he can't give an explanation. So I'm really having fun trying to watch him experience these things and his looks and how things are going. It's really it's kind of funny. I mean, not to be mean to him or anything, but it's kind of funny watching him with no explanation. But yeah, he witnessed it. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, who's the trickster now?
Yeah, uh-huh. You
Yeah,
wait.
yeah,
You
yeah.
wait. Things are gonna happen
That's funny.
more. But
Yeah, they are, because yeah, the frequencies as they get higher, because it's all of the realities and infinite realities. It's not just, you know, this version of Gaia because, you know, we're a lower dimension compared to another version of Gaia. No, it's all of them. It's all of them. And so yeah, hopefully in, you know, in a decade or so, like hybrid beings and free energy and all these cool things that can help humanity, you know, from being in poverty and starving and being in wars and that kind of thing can dissipate. And you know, I'm wholehearted feeling that it will, that in our lifetimes, in the next couple decades or so, that things are really going to look up for this version of Gaia and for us, because of not just because of energy healers, because some people might not know they're an energy healer, and you know, maybe they quote unquote do a lot when they're asleep, you know, during their dream state, and during the day they're just a banker or a secretary, and you know, they're not into meditation or anything, and just their pure energy anchoring, you know, in the Gaia helps even those people that aren't consciously aware of, you know, their abilities and what they're doing when they're here. There is a strength in numbers. There's a strength in the collective. And as more and more people like us bring more awareness that it's really not paranormal, it's actually normal.
Right.
And we're normalizing the paranormal, right? Because
right.
It's always been there. And it's actually a good sign because it means we're all raising our frequencies, which we are, including Mother Earth herself, Gaia herself, who is a consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's actually a good sign because it means that we're moving toward, brighter days here for all of us.
Yeah. And I'm excited for that. Really excited for that. So, what do you think about people? I've got two questions for you. So, one is, what do you think about people that don't dream? That they don't remember their dreams? Is there anything special with that you know of?
For me, it's if you are meant to remember or have access to remember that information, you're meant to. And if you're not, you're not. And that's determined on your higher soul level, your oversoul or your higher self. And so if it's a dream you're supposed to remember when you wake up, you will remember it. If it's a dream that you're not supposed to, you won't. And so my husband is that way. I'm not. I'll have like vivid dreams and I'll wake up and I'll remember it like right away if I think about it. He's the opposite. He doesn't remember like any of his dreams. So I think a lot of those people that don't remember their dream time are doing such important things in their dream because, like the Toltec wisdom says, we are a dream within a dream within a dream, much like that movie, what is that movie called? I forget what it's called, but they basically go within a dream within a dream within a dream, and they keep dying again and being reborn, basically, trying to show this daisy chain of lives and reincarnation and whatnot. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think that it's what their soul is needing in the time, and maybe their soul is just doesn't want to traumatize their human body or human mind. You know what I mean? Because if they have a nightmare about a predator alien that's biting off people's heads in a reality, they might not want to remember that. I'm just giving an example. I didn't have that dream, but you know what I mean? Or like reptilians, right. Or not all reptilians are bad. I'm just going to throw it out there. Just much like humans, there's malevolent, benevolent, and benevolent, and everything in between. Reptilians do get a bad rap, and in my book they do blow everything up, but they're a very small faction of ones that did that. So anyways, but yeah, it's odd. I don't understand it because I remember most of my dreams, but some people don't, and I don't think they're meant to, in that moment, or maybe they're not ready to thin their veil to that point, to that level.
Right. I remember mine. I've got a pretty thick journal right now going, so I remember a lot. I wake up like 3 times a night with dreams. So the next question is, I've been recently hearing some information about like a very high energy hitting Earth on the 20th, and people are going to know if you are in that higher realm or not. Have you heard anything on that?
Is this thing that's in the sky right now, this planet, this object that people keep talking about? I forget I don't really watch the mainstream news because it's not good for my psyche, but they've asked me about it in channeling a couple times. Something, I don't know what it's called. But that when I was channeling, I think the Arcturians and the Pleiadeans said, don't worry, we're not going to let the world in. Like, we don't know why humans think that so much. And that fear mongering in media should be, in our opinion, avoided as much as possible. Like, you do what you want, but the fear mongering is, it's most time it's stuff that doesn't happen, and it's obviously it's a waste of time and all that. And sometimes you're just swiping on your phone and you accidentally see stuff or whatever on social media. That's normally where I'll see it, but
that's kind of what this
they
was.
They said don't worry, none of that's going to happen, not anytime soon. And I mean, that's what they said. And I'm the type person, I'm like, they don't even get the weather right. We have all these high-tech satellites, and so most of the time I won't even look at the weather unless specifically I'm outside that day. Like, I don't even trust the weather, let alone other what ifs, So there's multiple near Earth objects too. They said don't worry about that. They're not going to let this world end so easily.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking is that I hear a lot of that too, where they're here protecting us. We would have had our World War III already if they
Mm-hmm.
weren't involved in helping us to keep that from happening.
That's right.
So yeah, yeah. Well, I would love to have you back on the show if you would like. I would love to have you back. And yeah, if you're up for that. So any last words for our people? Anything you want to say?
Just one thing in the background they keep telling me about. I think they're going to do a long channeling on this upcoming is if you want to manifest what you are, kind of fake it until you make it. Be what you want to be. Kind of like they say, dress for the job that you want. It's like that in reality too, because we're all playing roles as consciousness in our bodies. So you can be whatever you want to be, but manifesting, you're always manifesting because you're manifesting the consciousness for your experience right now. It just means to manifest a frequency of what you want. And you can do a visual even just for 5 minutes and compare what your reality is now, what you want your reality to be. They don't care if it's winning a Grammy. You picture yourself on the right side, which is normally the future. I'm winning the Grammy, literally, not just going to the Grammys, winning it. On the left side, well, this is me. I'm not winning a Grammy or even going to the Grammys. And you can do that visualization, whether it's before you go to sleep or whenever you can, even 5 minutes a day, and that really helps. And then you start acting and taking those steps because you can get all kinds of spiritual certifications. And even I did that, got a few different ones, Gaia Grid Worker and all these coaching and all these things. But if you don't act on it, it's not going to happen because you're in charge of creating that reality. And so they're really big on that. Another thing they've been big on lately is being not judging others. Like they know humans can't just be like, oh, we have unconditional love. Oh, you're a predator, you're a Unabomber, we love you. Like they know that we can't do that. And so, start small with the unconditional love. And even just by not judging others is a start. And discernment is different because discernment is what is best for you and highest good for all in the moment. It is a tactical decision that is best in the moment. Judgment is straight judging. And so they're talking a lot about that right now. But anyways, those are just a couple things that they keep on telling me because they want me to listen to them too, unfortunately.
Well,
I gotta listen to. Yeah. Yes, I am, and we are. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And yes, I would love to be back after the new year.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you'd like to be back. So, yeah, well, thank you so much for being on the show. And I appreciate our guest with you that had come through. So, Pleiadians. And yeah, I appreciate all of you. So, thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dana.
If anyone else out there has any stories you would like to share, email me at lighttalk423@gmail.com and we will talk with everyone next time.